Hello everyone, I'm James Lynch. Welcome to King County at your service. Fingerprints are a key to identity, but did you know no two people on earth have the same exact prints, not even identical twins? As Tim O'Leary tells us, technology is now making it easier to check prints from anywhere.
For police on the streets, knowing the true identity
Afternoon, how are you doing today?
of who they're dealing with is critical.
Get your license, registration, proof of insurance for me?
No, I don't.
But it's not always easy.
First name?
Bob,
Do you have a middle initial, Bob?
G,
How old are you again?
38.
What's your date of birth?
Police call it the name game, giving a false identity to an officer.
If they're lying about their name, it's usually for a reason. You know, they're wanted for something, they're trying to avoid something, you know, they're hiding something.
If they stopped a subject and that person's playing the name game or they don't have any ID on their person, you know, if they really needed to go and identify that person, that would require a trip to another location to take their fingerprints on a live scan, submit them, and that process could, you know, it could take hours.
Not anymore.
There's the right one goes first, and it's sort of a live scan. It doesn't use like ink or anything.
It's called mobile ID. Prints are captured on a mobile device in the field and uploaded to King County's APHIS database, the state's system, and the FBI's repository. Results come back in minutes. IDs are quickly confirmed.
From day one, they love it.
We used it 3 times today already, so that's pretty average.
Officers from around the region are now trained to use mobile ID devices. In fact, there are more than 200 devices being used by different agencies. The mobile ID prints are not saved on the device or added to the APHIS databases. They are simply used to confirm an identity. But it's an important tool when knowing a person's true identity can impact critical decisions.
A hit and run, but the guy came back, and all he had was a very poor representation of an Ecuadorian passport to identify himself. So, run the name, get nothing, run the prints, comes back, totally different name. He'd actually been deported, had outstanding warrants, had been arrested for DEA for selling heroin. So we hooked him up, had more heroin in his pocket, so the feds wanted to see him.
It's new technology that's making a difference
Prints don't lie.
on the streets.
King County's emergency radio network has to be available 24/7. Lives depend on it. But have you ever wondered who 911 calls when there's a problem with the network? As Kimberly Hill tells us, they call these guys.
911, what are you reporting?
We all depend on 911 and the emergency radio system that brings first responders to our door. But who does 911 call when the system goes down? Meet Rick Myers with King County's Radio Communications Services.
I maintain and install 911. So everything from the consoles to the mountaintops to the radios in the fire trucks or the police cars. So it's my understanding you have a headset jack problem. You got to remember that people's lives can depend on what you're doing.
Rick's team operates and maintains King County's 800 megahertz emergency radio system, a critical system used by a consortium of regional public safety agencies, all with a critical mission.
The goal for 911 radio communications is to never, ever, never not be available.
So the radio team works 24/7 to maintain its system of transmitters around the region.
We've got sites from Kent to Kitsap County to Snohomish County, up in the mountains at Rattlesnake and Squawk Mountain.
The network is connected via microwave radios, which use large dish antennas. I like to think of them as phone lines in the sky. It's ultra reliable and extremely stable.
But they're not always easy to get to, especially in the snow.
If anything happens to these, we've got to get there 24/7. We had something happen this winter with one of our generators didn't start, so we had to get up there and find out why. So we went up in a snowcat, and there was about 12 feet of snow at the site. Then once we were there, we fixed the problem and headed on down.
The county radio shop specializes in radio installs in public safety vehicles. The techs here have the expertise to work on just about any rig, you can imagine.
Cop cars, like Ford Explorers, motorcycles, fire rigs, whether a ladder truck, a water tiller, you name it.
It's not just the sheriff's office that uses the system. It's every first responder, whether it's Seattle Police, Seattle Fire, down to Black Diamond, uses that same system.
And they're busy fixing and maintaining the thousands of radios that are brought here every year.
We maintain at least 5,300 radios for the county and also another additional 2,500 for external county agencies.
And soon they'll be even busier as a brand new regional radio system comes online. It's called the Puget Sound Emergency Radio Network, or PSERN. In 2015, voters approved a $273 million levy to fund it. It will replace the current analog system with digital technology.
It's like going from record albums to MP3 files. This new technology is also very efficient, whereas today, one call takes a certain amount of bandwidth. In the future, that same bandwidth can support 2 calls.
And you can bet this team has the bandwidth to maintain and operate the new technology.
Communications is critical for public safety to be able to protect the citizens in King County.
Power, utility, phone, we if that stuff goes down, 911 still has to work, so.
Every second of the day, every second of the year, that service needs to be there.
911, what are you reporting?
We're definitely the folks that 911 calls when they have problems.
If you've ever taken the King County water taxi, you know it's a great way to get around. But what would happen if there was an emergency on board? You'll be glad to know the crews are highly trained to keep you safe.
Abandon ship, abandon ship, abandon ship.
It looks, sounds, and feels real, but it is only a drill. A rare emergency evacuation exercise hosted by King County on board the water taxi Sally Fox.
This is just our first opportunity to have the manufacturer of the life rafts come on board and demonstrate, with our help, hands-on, how exactly to deploy a life raft.
Okay, clear down below. All clear. Here it comes.
The goal is to deploy rafts and evacuate the boat as quickly and safely as possible.
Okay, folks, if we could get everybody to muster on the starboard side, we're going to head out the back.
The Sally Fox is designed to carry up to 278 passengers with 4 additional crews, so 282 souls on board total. The life rafts, of which we have 2 on board, are each designed to carry at least that many, 100 in each life raft on the inside, and room for people to hold on to the sides around the perimeter.
More than 70 volunteers took part in the exercise in the Lake Washington Ship Canal, many of them students planning careers in the maritime industry.
Now, there are a couple of ways to deploy a life raft, either manually with your crew running the procedure, or the life rafts are designed to self-deploy should a vessel sink too quickly for the crew to get to them.
King County maritime commanders want to learn what works, what doesn't, what needs to be tweaked, and what needs to be changed to ensure safe and orderly evacuation of the boat. In a real emergency, passengers could be called on to play crucial roles in the evacuation. Most importantly, commanders stress, there's no need to panic.
It's to remain calm, to remember that their crew on board has trained again and again and again. Following the instructions of the crew is paramount. And also looking out for your fellow passengers. We're all in this together.
Cooperation between passengers and crew, key to a safe and successful evacuation. Do you ever use mapping sites like Google or Bing to get around? Those sites use geographic information to figure out drive times. Where do they get their info? From the King County GIS Center.
King County is a diverse, complex area in landscapes and population. Knowing how it changes over space and time impacts many of the decisions we make every day. Where we live, how we get around, how we manage our lives. A well-designed map can be a powerful tool for navigating this complex world. And some of the best maps in our region are made here at the King County GIS Center.
We really would need to do some analysis. Maps are cool because they connect people to places.
And a Geographic Information System, or GIS, connects data to maps instead of displaying it with tables or spreadsheets.
It's software that helps you visualize data and helps you make better decisions.
Decisions like where to buy a house. Take a look at King County's parcel viewer.
We created it for internal county staff to use, but the fact of the matter is over 90% of the use of it is from outside the county, and it's realtors, it's brokers, it's people interested in real estate. What kind of house is it? How big is it? How many stories? How many bathrooms? Is it on a steep slope? Is it near a wetland? All the things that go into the assessment of property are stored in the GIS.
Need to plan your public transit route? Try Metro's Trip Planner.
How do I get from my house to the courthouse at 4 in the afternoon? King County Metro has a trip planner, and in the background of that is GIS.
We don't even think about the fact that they're powered by geographic data. They're just there. The maps that are around for transit around the metro, it's a GIS service. Who knew that was done? We just accept it as part of our daily life.
Google and Bing and all those mapping websites, people say, why don't we just use Google Maps? And I say, where do you think Google Maps got their data from? They got it from the county.
And as our region grows, GIS data can help us visualize and make the most of our communities. This is the Get Around Guide for Capitol Hill and the U District.
It's kind of a kitchen sink map because it has so much content, and it's really designed to show travel options where people can get around their neighborhoods without a car. So it includes transit routes, both bus and light rail and streetcar. Neighborhood bike routes, signed bike routes that people can follow. There's also P-patches, libraries, playgrounds. It's really designed not just for showing people how to get around in the neighborhood, but where they can go in the neighborhood to do things.
If you hike on King County's backcountry trails, you'll be glad to know the maps are updated regularly with mobile GPS units.
Whenever there's a new trail, or a trail that's been modified, well, I do walk the trail, call it the trail alignment. I can just start it going and it'll log a point as I walk the trail. It's taking the signals from the satellites to log those points.
They hike the trail and they bring back the data so that we know exactly where that trail is going inside the park. And from that information then we're able to make really high quality maps.
The GIS Center's client services also help cities, businesses, and many others tackle complex challenges.
But we were approached by the city of Snoqualmie, and it's a growing suburban community, and they had a number of fire station locations, and they were becoming concerned about adequate response time. So we helped them do drive time analysis so they could make an informed decision about what would be the most effective location for a new fire station. This is something that you can't do just by looking at a map. It really takes geospatial processing of the information about drive times on different highways or different roads or side streets, what the speeds are, what the friction points are, what the resistance is, and so on. Regionally, a lot of companies use this. UPS had its origin here in Seattle, is a big user of GIS, and they're actually every morning and even through the day, they're changing the routes of their truck drivers.
That's just one example of how something that used to be done very manually is now done in an automated way using GIS.
So that looks pretty good.
King County is also a regional leader in GIS training. Welcome to the GIS Academy.
GIS Academy is a fun and exciting way to advance your skills in GIS. Maybe you've been doing geographic information systems for a while, but you want to hone your skills on, say, editing data. You can do that in the GIS Academy.
And a lot of people come here from all over the region. In fact, all over the world.
We're a regional service provider, and we provide excellent training in geographic information systems. I like to think about us as being world-class and close to home.
The King County GIS Center, a key regional resource for the future.
GIS workers who map new trails are going to be a little busier. There's a new 720-acre park near Issaquah. It's called the Squak Cougar Corridor Park, and it's amazing.
Just 15 miles east of Seattle, Cougar, Squak, and Tiger Mountains shadow Lake Sammamish. They're also known as the Issaquah Alps. And now, thanks to local advocacy groups and a 226-acre purchase by King County, the corridor between Squak and Cougar will stay green.
Where a developer was planning on clear-cutting 250-acre swath up on the mountain, and we all know it's directly south of Issaquah. So we were able to work with the Trust for Public Land and others, Executive Constantine, to get the money to put that into public ownership. The County Council appropriated another $1 million to complete a 720-acre park in the Squak Cougar Mountain Corridor. Very exciting, with beautiful trails, beautiful viewpoints.
The park features deep forests, acres of wildlife habitat, and beautiful trails like Margaret's Way. It's named in honor of park planner Margaret McLeod, who helped preserve the area and wanted it to stay in public ownership.
We don't want to be Houston. We don't want to be Los Angeles. We want to have these wonderful open spaces that we preserve and protect for generations to come. And so that's why there's so much emphasis in trying to preserve this in public ownership and trust ownership.
To find out more, visit kingcounty.gov/parks.
Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us for King County at Your Service. I'm James Lynch. If we could be of service to you, visit us online at kingcounty.gov/KCTV. We'll see you next time.